30 seconds. And my apologies. I did update today's time, but it was a late change or edit because I just got behind with good stuff, and I have so much that I want to share today that I don't think I'm going to have enough time, which means I will likely add a session for tomorrow. I just have a ton that I want to share and cover, and have to do one way or the other. And I like documenting for everyone, and documenting and demonstrating. That's how we can communicate our value, or one way to communicate our value proposition. I because I got behind, I got stuck a little bit in finding a visual to communicate something that I wanted to try as a different way of a different visual for the 3-step blueprint that I have documented, or even the process that we were following in the listing sprint. And so I don't know. I was trying to find a spark to light a bonfire. I didn't really come up with anything good. Instead of me showing that, let me talk through the idea, and I'm just looking for feedback. Like, does this resonate, make sense, whatever. And so let me give a real world example, and then I'll explain what I mean. The spark to light the kindling, to get the fire, and hopefully create a bonfire for you. So yesterday on the 11 a.m. session, I reached out to multifamily tax default sellers. I think there was one or two out of state absentee, and the rest were tax default. From that, I have, well, actually, let me take a step back. The spark for that, the deck of leads was the wood. It was the kindling. The spark for that was the guy that I have that has been hounding me for a multifamily property in Mechanicsburg. That was the spark. I put together my kindling, and I used that spark to start a fire. I have 2 now out of the 14. I think it was 14. I think that's the number I ended up getting through. 14. 2 of them, we have a little fire going. Now I need to turn it into a bonfire. So I need to keep adding wood to the fire. How do I do that? Well, number one, I am going to send a personal Loom video to my buyer. I already texted him this morning, but I'm going to send him a personal Loom video to my buyer, walking through the 2 properties. Walking through meaning I'm going to have them pulled up on my screen, and give him the insider intel, give him the information that they have shared with me and that I can find about the properties. And I will mention that, well, I'll mention that there's some level of distress. I might tell them that they're tax default, or I might have the cards. I'll probably have the cards, the LeadDeck cards, pulled up. That's what I'll show him. That's how I can add wood to the fire, or add more, gasoline to the fire. Whether or not he's interested, I then need to continue to add wood or kindling to the fire by continuing the conversation with those folks, to the point where either my guy is interested and we're making an offer, and those 2 are in that scenario, they're for sale by owners, and I'm representing my guy, or he says, this still isn't what I'm looking for, which quite honestly is most likely what's going to happen. 1 out of the 2, I think he might be interested in and want to make an offer. The other one, I don't think, because it's 2 different properties, 2 different parcels. They want to sell them together. It's zoned commercial and residential. I don't think he's the right buyer for those, but I think I have the right buyer, or the possibility to pivot. So if he's not interested, the pivot and the way I'm going to add more, turn it into a raging bonfire is, would you be totally opposed to giving me the opportunity to get these things on the open market so we can find the right buyer and can get you the most net equity? I don't know. What do we think about the fire analogy? We need We need to gather some kindling. We need something to use as the spark, get it going, and then we just got to keep adding either more wood or gasoline to the fire. I don't know. I thought it was.
Yeah, good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate one person thought it was okay. No, I saw some other, kind of thumbs up stuff. Okay. So
I think kindling is better than gas.
Okay, more kindling, and then we got to put the full wood, and then I don't know. What do you need for a bonfire? Do you put like whole trees on a bonfire? I don't even know.
Marshmallows. You need marshmallows.
Okay, well then, you gotta make some s'mores at some point.
A little paper.
There you go. Yeah, you need like you need the kindling. I guess paper can be kindling. You need the actual base of the fire, right? There's a way that you put the align the logs to make it, and then you got to start the TP structure, and then whatever. I don't know if it's any good.
Hopefully. Not kindling.
What's that?
The paper is actually tinder, not kindling.
Tinder. Okay, there you go. Not the app, not the swipe app. Different Tinder. Okay, geez, that went a little sideways towards the end, but whatever. Okay. I have a couple of like short punchy things that I want to knock out and then get into some deeper work and actually do some work. This has come up a number of times from these sessions or Founders Club, masterminds, etc., which is I get these calls, texts, emails from investors looking for off-market deals. And I thought I would share one and an exchange that I had that you might use as a way to vet those conversations to see if you've got somebody who is worthy of adding to your buyer's list and maybe using as a spark to start a fire, or if this is a person that will just waste your time, run you in circles, etc. So this guy, Mike, I'm trying not to show too much information, but this guy, Mike, texted me. Hi, it's Mike, and I'll leave his last name out. My partner, Max, and I are one of the largest cash buyers in the area, and we're looking for off-market fixer-uppers. Does anything come to mind? Now, regardless of the rest of what I'm going to share, that's a pretty good cold text, if I'm being honest. Like, I get those pretty frequently. I don't normally respond. Well, that's not true. If they show up like this from a real number, I typically respond. But when I get them by email and it's very clearly that this was blasted out to hundreds of real estate agents, whatever. Anyway, pretty good script. Does anything come to mind? That's a pretty good sort of call to action. I said, yeah, I may have a couple of possible deals. You available for a quick chat later this afternoon? Yeah, I'm available anytime. Now, I got super busy yesterday afternoon, but I did then get back to him. I said, day got away from me between appointments and other conflicts. And here's the suggestion that I would have for you, asking something along these lines in these scenarios. Are you guys looking for deals that you're going to wholesale, or you're looking for properties that you're going to fix and flip to a retail buyer, or some other exit strategy ? In other words, I'm trying to uncover, am I talking to a principal here that will actually take title and will perform, and we're not going to daisy chain this thing or whatever? And I don't care. I just want to know. He said, we flip ourselves. We don't wholesale. You'd get our listing as well. Bring them an off-market deal. They're going to fix it up and relist it on the open market. You'd get our listing as well. Just looking for off-market opportunities you're working with the seller on. So that's good. That person, I saved him as a contact, and he will go on my notification list. I will add in the notes off market cash buyer, or I'll put something about off market, because he said that specifically. And like, I want to, I'll honor that. Now, eventually, if we establish some sort of relationship and rapport, maybe I will earn the opportunity to bring him on market deals. Meaning, like, if I vet deals, because we do, I do find them from time to time, on market deals that would make a good fix and flip, using the strategies in that document with 13 plus ways, they are out there. So don't anything that comes your way like that, if nothing else, use it as an opportunity to sharpen your skills. Okay. If nothing else. And I think this could be a good one. I'm not going to, I could try and look up his phone number and look up his name and do due diligence, whatever. I think that's a waste of time, because I'm not going to go to work specifically for him. I already have lots of other sparks. And when I have an off-market fixer-upper, I'll just add him to the list of people I let know, and he'll demonstrate to me through his behavior. And once I have an actual deal for him to vet or do, run his numbers, et cetera, on, I'll learn more about his buy box, et cetera. But I would not be afraid to ask that clarifying question when you get those messages from investors, because you want to make sure that what you wouldn't want to do is use that as a spark and they're a amateur wholesaler, right? That's what I'm trying to, I'm trying to help you hopefully avoid wasting time and focus more on being more effective and efficient with your time. Stuart.
Point. So I've been joining some of these investor groups, around the Atlanta area or even Georgia area. And, there's one in particular, maybe two, that are, the name of the group talks about off-market type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to think of a way to, I haven't really dug in there, really seen much what they're doing, but, people are offering something that's off-market. Maybe could take that and use that as some bait.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. And, so, I mean, connecting some dots. I talk to a guy like Mike. I go and find off-market deals in whatever area. Like, he didn't even really tell me what area yet, which I could ask another clarifying question. Any specific area or areas in Central PA that you would prefer or be more interested in? Or maybe better put, are there areas that you wouldn't be interested in? Question mark. So why not use that? What's that?
I've been doing the same. I just trying to get a little more granular. I'm like, give me a zip code, because then I can just go into LeadDeck and start hammering away on one zip code.
Totally.
Yeah.
Back to Stuart's point. So I think you absolutely can, could, should be using those off-market posted deals as a reason and a opportunity to have more conversations with people that are actually doing the business, whether they're licensed or not. Who cares? And so that wasn't intentional on Stuart, but the next thing, or a next thing I have on my list, is closing the loop on something I think I talked about it yesterday, which is I have this package of 5 properties that we're going to list next week. It might not end up being until the following week. There's a property manager. It's taking a little bit longer than anticipated to get some ducks in a row. And yet I can use that as a spark to start a flame in the meantime, which is why I sent it out as my deal of the week email, which will start going out, I think, at 10:30 today. I posted it yesterday, which I shared that post. And I had mentioned yesterday that, I was scrolling my feed, and I saw this post in a group like what Stuart was describing. Now, it's not specifically an off-market listings group, but it's an investor group. And he said, I'm selling a portfolio of 20 properties. Message me for details. So this morning, I went through and I messaged, I don't know how many, maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 who commented wanting more information. I sent them DMs on Facebook. I have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 replies already. I think I messaged, well, look, I can count them here. I messaged, I don't know, more than half of the people I messaged have already replied. And a bunch of them I wasn't friends with. Now, I friend requested them because I want to connect with more people who are looking to do deals or have deals, etc. But it doesn't exactly match Stuart's question, but why not? Conversations. That is our number one key performance indicator if we want to close more transactions. The more conversations you have, the more you will uncover opportunities. So one of them in particular commented, so this person asked any multis. That was the comment she posted on the other person's post. So I said, I saw your comment on Jamil's post. Where are you looking for multis? We have several off-market options all over Central PA. So I now have, she told me more what she told me her buy box. I have 2 in particular. One is one of the 5 in the package, and one is one that I uncovered yesterday on the session. It was, and this isn't one of the 2 that I mentioned. So yesterday I reached out to 14. I've had conversations with, well, a couple of them said no. So I'm going to say that 5 or 6 out of the 14 responded in some way or another. It's at least 5. It might be 6. A couple said no. And they said, essentially buzz off to my follow-up question, right? Because we try and go for more no's, but it doesn't hurt to, they weren't negative about it. But essentially that's what they said. I had the 2 that are, I've got the fire going with. And then another said, oh, here's one that said no. From Claire, no sale. Thanks for your interest. So I don't know. That might have been, there was a couple in the, there was a couple of multifamily tax default that were actually owner occupied. So it might have been one that was owner occupied. Also, what's interesting, this actually validates my point. Just reach out to the contacts on there because this isn't Claire. She's answering for Claire. Now that might be the tenant saying that because she doesn't want to deal with a new owner. We'll see. Actually, I might want to go back. I'm going to go back and look that one up because it'll also allow me to demonstrate another thing I have on my own list. Golly, squirrel. This is one that replied, I'm sorry, I'm not selling this one. Gotcha. Any others in your portfolio you're thinking about selling? I have a 2-unit in Pembroke going on the market in less than 2 weeks. Right on. What's the address on that one? And would you consider selling it before going on the market if you got a number that made sense? No, we decided we want it to go on the market. I believe we'll be selling it for $230. Gave me the address. Got it. How many bedrooms does each unit have? And are they currently occupied or vacant? So they're currently vacant and it's 2-bed, 1-bath each. So I can't get the listing on that one. Boo-hoo. If I bring them a buyer, if I bring them $230, like, I don't know, and we make it clean and clear and obvious, maybe we can do the deal. So that was the other one that I'm sending this lady who said in the comments she wanted multis. She told me those 2 areas. I have one, and that's the other one. Spark, fire, flame. A lot of this is why today started at 10 instead of 9:30, because I was trying to I gotta trying to, prioritize and so forth. So she said, send me what you got. And I got a bunch of these that I have to get back to. Okay. Adam, I'd be open to learning more, especially if any are Section 8. They aren't currently, but I think there would be an opportunity or a value add to turn them over for that. And actually, now that I think about it, we have a different off-market 2 unit in Pembroke that both units are currently vacant, and they'd be great for Section 8. Should I send you info on that one? Question mark. That one, I should have noted that in here. He had commented asking about Section 8. Like his comment had something about Section 8. And I think one of the reasons why this Donna replied is I didn't send a generic message. Now, I did have a generic message that I sent to a bunch of people. In other words, I wrote one message, I copied it, and I was pasting it and putting their name in it. So I had a message that said morning first name and then my message to them. And I was just pasting it, changing their first name. So it was still personalized and sending those. But when the comment was specifically asking a question or noting, this, that, or the other thing, I did my best to do that. Yeah, so sorry about that. Was messaging a whole bunch of people this morning, and I should have double checked my work. LOL. I can send you more information this afternoon. So I was copying and pasting. I didn't edit that one. It said, hey, Tim, and her name was Asha. Now, I did edit it, but I guess it didn't edit. So I realized, I was like, oh, crap. Edit, because you can edit DMs, or at least sometimes you can, but apparently either she read it before I edited it, or the edit didn't take, or whatever. Who cares? Anyway, I now have a bunch that I'm going to follow up with. What will that look like? Well, some of them I will send very personal one-to-one Loom videos. For example, Donna, I'm just going to send her the 2 off-market 2 units. And I'm going to do a video for that, just like I'm going to do a video for my guy Shankar, who's hounding me for multifamilies in Mechanicsburg. I will also record a catch-all one that is just me quickly going through the 5 of them for anyone who was just, send me what you got kind of thing. Like they weren't interested in one specific. And that's how I'll do my best to, keep putting wood on that fire to see what we can do. And they would also consider, like, they don't care about listing it. They have a number. If I get them a number, off market, on market, whatever, as long as we get that to that number, they're good to go. They don't really care. Next topic. For those of you using LeadDeck, we made I would say it's a little thing, but it's a big deal. An enhancement that was inspired by Stephanie. And I have a public apology I'm going to make to Stephanie. I've already privately apologized to her, but I'm going to publicly apologize here as well. Which is the search functionality has been in here for quite a while, maybe since day one. But we couldn't search by phone or email. And so we have added, I don't think the email is live yet, because Sean and I were talking about it this morning about the phone search functionality. And in that I was like, well, what about email? And he was like, we need to do that too. So some of this is still publishing. And it was it's taking longer than expected because it was also cleaning up some of the code, because this thing is getting to be like this big monster code wise. But you should be able to search. Look at that. You can search by phone now. And not only that, what I did here, as long as there are 3 digits, it will start to look. And what I did was I pulled up I typed in the last 4 numbers of a seller that I have been messaging with, just as an example. It was just a use case. Okay. So this is a guy that I need to call. I may call him while we're live here, actually, because he said, I asked him if he would be available for a quick chat later today. And he said, anytime AM. So I need to call him before PM. And I might do that time permitting. But my point in sharing that is the phone search is live. The email search will be added as well. And it gives you a quick and easy way to address something that came up yesterday on our Zoom for the listing sprint. So Stephanie brought up that she had an example of someone that called her back. So she texted, called, emailed, and the person called back while she was still working. And the person ended up hanging up on her. And in that, she shared that she has been creating contacts on her phone for every lead. And I think that was such a shock to my system that I ended up responding in a way that, to a certain degree, I regret. And so, like I said, I personally apologized to Stephanie for the way I addressed her there live. For 2 reasons. One, I don't like the way I handled it, period. And also, that problem created a way that we can make the thing better. So she is to thank, or, we can thank Stephanie for that ability, that it's easier to find people who contact you. The reason I picked that guy is because I emailed him December 21st. And he called me 2 weeks ago. He had not replied to anything. I had no idea. He called me. I was in the van. We were driving to Louisville. I was in the van. And I was like, I have no idea who this is. I have no idea what's going on right now. And I was just curious on the phone with him. And we got to the punchline. And he shared, he said something that I was like, oh, I know what this is about. I know, blah, 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 blah. So there was something in there. He then sent me a package. He's got 5 multifamily properties he wants to sell. And so I need to circle back with him to make the offer. The guy that I was reaching out on is not interested. And so I need to make hey, would you be totally opposed to blah, blah, blah. So I apologized to Stephanie this morning, to which, and I don't know if she's going to be able to open her line or not, but
yes, I'm here. And
to which she said, after the call, I was able to get through a lot more leads because she wasn't slowing herself down. Here's what also was like a punch in the face. Someone else, I think it was Janita, said, yeah, I do the same thing. And I was like, we can't be doing that. We're wasting, it's wasting time. I want to save contacts once they're a potential client, but not the cold leads. Anyway, she texted. After the call, I was able to get through a lot more leads and ended up with 6 potential sellers. Six. So what's the scoop, Stephanie? What's the scoop, and how can we help? What's next?
Okay, so I appreciate what you're doing so much, and the conversation yesterday was just fine because it helped me get over a hump. And I'm really to the point in my business that I'm sick and tired of doing things the way I've always done them. And so I'm going to start asking for other ways. And so that's what my next problem is. I mean, I could figure out how to respond to these people.
Okay.
But
Well, okay. So
I
hold
really-
on. Two things I want to unpack in more detail. Number one, for those who are curious, how many contacts did it take you to get these 6 potential sellers? And what was the filter stack? You don't have to say like the zip code or anything, but more the type of leads. Was it a filter stack? Was it out of state absentee, or what was that? And then I want to jump. And then I want to jump to your second part, which more is a strategy question.
Okay. So I was doing tired landlord out of state absentee for single family.
Okay, so single family, tired landlord, out of state absentee was the stack she was using in LeadDeck, and I'm just going to use this as a way to kind of demonstrate. So she put in whatever city or zip code she was looking. She's got single family. She's running the counts, and then she's stacking. Okay, so I got these here. What she's doing, and by the way, an enhancement we're going to make. We're going to move this up right below the grade 8. It's silly that it's just out of order. So we're going to move the premium filtering, which allows you to stack. She did tired landlord out of state. Why is that a great target audience? Because number one, tired landlords own multiple properties, meaning not just their primary residence and a rental property. I believe it's 3+. I believe they have to own multiple properties as an absentee owner, and they own their primary residence, which the out-of-state stack isn't really relevant because you're not going to list their out-of-state primary residence. But a reason why I love absentee owners is all of them own at least 2 properties, their primary residence and the 1 rental. So that was the stack. And then how many contacts did it take you to get these 6 potential sellers? And was it 6 different, or was it that 1 or 2 of them had multiple?
It was 6 different.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And so how many contacts?
I had run the search. It said 50 and ended up giving me 44. First day on Monday, I got through like maybe 9 or 10.
Okay. Doing the old way, which is you were saving every contact before you reach them. And just for informational purposes here, which once I had more context, it made more sense. But it still didn't make sense to me, but I could see how it made sense. The reason she was doing that, in other words, the reason she was creating a contact in her phone for every one of the leads is because if someone called back later that day, later that week, etc., she wanted to be able to see who it was so she could have that conversation. And that inspired making the search function better in LeadDeck, number one. And number two, we then had a conversation about how to handle those conversations to buy yourself the time to then go and find the details. And also, some people are going to still hang up just because they just like being, they're just, some people are just, it's just not going to work no matter what, no matter how skilled you are, no matter what. But there was good inspiration there, etc. So you had 44, took you 9 or 10 doing the old way. And then yesterday, what happened?
I did maybe 14, 15
on Tuesday. Okay.
And then I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not even at 25 that we're supposed to get into one day. And so that's when I brought it up yesterday after the call.
Yep.
I've completed my deck, which was about 20 more.
Okay.
And I got them done.
So you're telling me of the last 20 that you sent, you got 6 replies?
Let me look. I don't think that's, I don't know. Let me think. Let's see, 6 of them. It looks like 4 of them I had loaded up on the 24th, which was what?
Monday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Was that
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So 3 of them were from.
Okay, even if it's 6 out of 44, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to highlight for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I got responses from at least 5 out of 14. Stephanie got positive responses, 6 out of 44, positive in some form or fashion, let's say. Bravo. So okay. So you had said you are pretty confident with what to do next. But then you bring up, I think you brought up a bigger picture strategy
Well,
question, or
I would like to know how you would respond because, you know, I have done real estate on my own for way too long. And I'm tired of the way I'm doing it. I want to know how I want to learn from somebody who's good at it. I mean, I can fumble through it, sure, whatever. This is new for me.
this is beautiful. And this is a perfect, so I dropped in the chat this document. I spent time this morning editing this, which is, I'm calling our absentee owner listing sprint script book. And I'm giving open access to anyone, because you need LeadDeck to get the leads, or at least you need LeadDeck to get the leads in a way that is easy and quick and convenient for you to reach out to them. Just, just throwing it out there. But I'm happy to share this with anybody who's interested. I added a lot to this. I organized it. I even took the time, which I can't believe I'm just now doing this because I've been using Google Docs forever. I organized it so in the left-hand side, if you want, what's the voicemail? Boom, there's the voicemail. If you want, what's the alternate voicemail? Meaning James, it says James Brown is the owner and the only owner. And I call and it's like, hi, this is Stephanie. What do I say in that voicemail scenario? Because it's two different scripts. Anyway, all of you have access to that. This would be wonderful, Stephanie, if you had, it sounds like you have 6 responses or positive replies in some form or fashion. And if I'm understanding you correct, you would like feedback on what,
yes,
how,
I would
yeah.
I would like your help in getting this across the finish line.
Let's go. And so let me set a level of expectation that might help you and others. If we can get 1 out of these 6 to be a closed transaction, I mean, that's a good week. So we're not trying to get all 6.
Right.
Let's try and get 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, we might get 2 or 3. But if the win for me is if let's see one of these through to a raging bonfire that somehow then turns into money in your bank. I don't know how that, I haven't figured out that segue of the analogy. But so first and foremost, I would say of these 6, there's probably 1 or 2 that based upon the tone or the tenor of their reply seem more motivated. Am I right or wrong in that?
Kind of been thinking about one in particular.
Okay.
He owned the home as an Airbnb for the past, I don't know, 6 years or so.
Okay. And you know that from the conversation or from your own?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
No, from the conversation, he said he was making $35,000 a year from this. He sent me his Airbnb listing. He's got great reviews. He had to move out of state. And so that's why he shut down the Airbnb.
Can I ask, so I don't mean to derail this for a second. Of the 6, this was a phone conversation, correct? The one that you're talking about?
This one, yes.
Okay, How many of them were phone? How many of them were text? How many of them were email?
One hit my bold trail asking for a property evaluation. The other was a response to an email, and the rest were phone calls.
So you had 4 phone conversations?
Yes.
Okay, so, and the reason why I bring that up is it sounds like the people, this one that you're referencing has already invested more time than everybody else. In other words, he's given you more information and details, et cetera, which
you know what? Now that I think about that one, no, I don't think that one was a phone call. That was a text conversation.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, but it was an engaging conversation. He was providing information, details, et cetera. Okay. So it's a former Airbnb. The income was X. What's going on with it now?
It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there vacant.
Right.
And he got sick of Airbnb or what?
No. He had to move out of town, so he couldn't maintain.
So he was doing he was operating it.
Apparently, yes.
Okay.
He was, yes.
And have you gotten to price?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you think on price? Like, what do you think?
I think it might be a little high. Now that I've looked at the property itself, it's only a 2-1. But it's in a, relatively decent part of town. I mean, the neighborhood might be kind of crappy, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Here's what I would do based upon everything you've said so far. Number one, I would pull it up. I would pull up the instant offer options. I would narrow it to 2 because even if it hasn't come up in your text conversation, you opened with, I've got an out-of-state private client. So closing the loop on that tells that person that, this wasn't some bait and switch from the start. Like, I do actually have that. Then, because you have information and context beyond just a simple yes, or what's the offer, etc., you have more context than that. What I would do is I would likely include an offer. I would add my offer, my 7-day stress-free home sale offer, to that dashboard and pitch that. Now, alternatively, you could still pitch it without adding it in there. In other words, you could still say, here are 2 options that were originally, the reason why I was reaching out.
Okay.
And
I have the offers done. I ran them yesterday.
Okay, so here are 2 of these options. But quite honestly, from our conversation and from my research, I think our best bet would be this. Would you be open to having a conversation to explore that in more detail? The other thing is, have you talked about it's vacant, but he's no longer in town?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the other route you might go is this. Thank you for the time yesterday, etc. And ask, would it be possible for me to pop by and get photos of the property? Because the private client that I mentioned to you originally, I'd like to see what their highest and best offer would be. And in order to do that, I need photos of the property. They require me to walk the property, get photos, etc. And that way, like you're building more of a moat around the fact that this person's going to work with you because he's giving you access, etc. And you're doing work for him. And also, it gives you the collateral you need if you want to also use it as a deal of the week, as a post on Facebook, Nextdoor, Google, as a reason to reach out to the active landlord buyers with LeadDeck, etc. You have collateral that you can then send all of them, and you can just start working on being the solution for him before you even ask for the listing.
Okay.
So that's the more I think that through, knowing that it's vacant, knowing that he's out of town, knowing that it sounds like if this was an Airbnb, and you already
said that I can go and get exterior pictures, but the interior pictures he's directed me to his Airbnb listing already.
And so the way I would overcome that is this client requires that I take pictures of what it looks like today. And so, and I wouldn't I don't know that I would get hard and fast with it. But usually if you have a reason why you need to get interior photos, that would overcome that. But I don't know. It wouldn't be I don't know, that would be a huge deal. But if I'm going out to the property, I want to get the interior photos. Stuart, go ahead. And then we've got Susan and Doreen.
The Airbnb photos are going to show it in its best light. It's
right,
not going to
exactly.
show a crack in the corner or baseboard or whatever.
Yeah, I just think I would generally say that's easy to overcome, and he clearly has access. There's clearly, he probably has one of the electronic keypads, and if he puts up resistance for that, I think you could still overcome it in other ways. so the thing that I struggle with the most is providing a one size fits all solution to every scenario, because everyone's situation is different and unique, et cetera. Availability, time, traffic patterns. Like, there are so many factors that come at play here in these scenarios that it's, the more you do, the more you find what works for you and in which case it makes more sense to go this path or this path. I think you could go either path, meaning you could send a Loom video explaining the preliminary offers and pivot to or start to plant the seed for your what, if you call it, if you're calling 7-day stress-free home sale or whatever you want to refer to there. Or you could go for, hey, I was able to pull preliminary offers. They look pretty good, but we might be able to get you some better numbers. I would just need to take a quick tour of the property, and they do require me to get in-person photos of the exact current condition. So unfortunately, they don't accept the photos that you have on Airbnb for me to get you a finalized offer.
Okay.
Susan and Doreen, do you have something that relates specific to this exact scenario? Or
Yes.
Okay, because Stephanie, that was just one of 6 that she has, and
Right.
I have so many other things that I was going to share,
I can
which
be
is another
really
reason
quick.
why I'm going to have to go tomorrow.
So I have, I'm in Florida, obviously. We have a lot of short-term rentals. I actually showed one last night, and I have a second appointment today. So the two things would be, I joined a lot of STR groups on Facebook to use my bait properties.
What's
And
a STR
Stephanie,
group?
A short-term rental group.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, thank you.
So Stephanie, if you get the listing, you could use that also as an alternative for selling it or promoting it. And then the other thing I always start with, because our short-term rentals, I can say almost 100% are owned by absentee owners. I always ask them if they're, tired of managing it themselves or they can't, would they consider property management? Because I want to keep them as a long-term client also. So the one last night is perfect. It's property managed. It has bookings into April. I have the last 2 years of bookings. I didn't even have to go on their Vrbo or Airbnb. So there's, if the property's worth your price point in time and you want to keep the client, there's a couple of ways to look at it.
I would not try to convince someone who has decided to sell to hang on to it personally.
Well, that comes up before that. I have that discussion before. If I hear in their voice they really don't want to sell, they want to keep the income, but they don't understand the scenario that maybe they could do property management. I'm never going to do property management. I'm always going to refer that out. It's not my cup of tea. But we have a whole segment of business down here based on short-term rentals. So
yeah.
There's but anyway, that's all I had to say.
Yeah,
but
perfect.
The short-term rental Facebook has been great.
Yeah,
Hey,
totally.
Doreen, let's connect. Send me your phone number.
Here, I'll connect the two of you. I'll group text.
Thank you so much.
Susan.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. How many, when you're matching these up, like Stephanie says she has some, well, in my instance, I have a fix it and flip that's going to be listed with another agent. I talked to the guy, blah, blah, blah. How many people would you reach out to? Just like everybody? I got to my 2 main local guys and they haven't responded. So do I?
Well, I'm sorry. So very, in as few words possible, what is the question?
The question is, if you have a property and it's a fix and flip or whatever, how many people do you match it up with and reach out to those people? Do you just keep going? Do you do a whole bunch at one time? Do you do them one-off? Like I've called 2 guys and they haven't gotten back to me. Where do we go? So take Stephanie's that she's got and where does she go from there? Do you just throw it out to the masses?
No,
Would you
no,
use the
not yet.
matchmaker, and how many?
Not yet. I wouldn't do any of that yet. In other words, not until she is able to establish, can she get in for photos so she has the collateral and something to send once she gets people that say, yes, please send me what you have. And also get more buy-in from the seller. In other words, get deeper down the path with them. I wouldn't do any of that yet. This is someone that from the conversation clearly has intent to sell. And what is almost always in the seller's best interest? Almost always. Like 95 to 97% of the time is what?
Putting it on the market.
Putting it on the market. Almost always. There are exceptions to the rule, 3 to 5%. But in the data says it, everything says it. He's clearly not, he wants to sell it, but it doesn't seem like he's like super distressed or anything. He's, there's no indication that he's, this was tired, out of state absentee, right? So it wasn't tax default, involuntary lien, or anything like that. So I wouldn't do any of what you're describing, Susan, until we get to a point where he says, I want to sell it, but I don't want to list it. And at that point, let's go and be the solution and go and find a buyer to make that happen off market for him. Does that make sense? Is that like?
Yes, so you're not matchmaking at this point. You're
Not at this point. Not at this point.
Okay.
There's motivation, there's equity, it's vacant, it's easy. We know that the best case scenario for him is we put it on the market because that will guarantee the most eyeballs, the most showings, the most offers, et cetera, et cetera. So until he says, absolutely no, I don't want to go that route, I'm not going to do that. And also, even if he says yes, what am I going to do between now and the day that it goes live? Then I'm going to do that work because I've already got the business. I have a reason why I'm reaching out. It's still off market. In fact, I think, in my message yesterday that I posted on Nextdoor and Facebook, et cetera, I was posting about off market, and I even put in parentheses, currently off market, meaning I was seeding the fact or the idea that it's not going to be off market for soon. In other words, we're going to list them soon. So that is when, in this scenario, I would get to work on finding if there's no listing to be had, number one, but he does still want to sell, or number two, we've established we are going to list it. We know the time frame that we're going to list it. I'm going to use that as a window for me to reach out and have more conversations to either bring more opportunities to it, or at that point you'll have established this is what we're listing at, et cetera. So you know what those numbers look like to have that conversation. That's how I would handle it anyway. Janita, I think Doreen still has her hand up, but you're good, right, Doreen?
I just didn't lower it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Perfect. All good. Janita.
All right. So, hey, Josh. So quick one for you. All right. So the FSBO that I got or found through using LeadDeck maybe 3 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Match that FSBO up with a buyer, but the FSBO would not allow me to get into the house to take additional photos, right? My buyer, cash buyer, was still interested, so we decided to go ahead and make an offer, right, on the property. But because we didn't have the detailed pictures, the offer came in lower than what the seller wanted, right? So she declined the offer. Now, my question for you is, and this all happened right about the time I was about to send over the fast cash offers, but since I had a local buyer, cash buyer, I sent that offer over first to show, hey, I got a live buyer, true contract, right? Proof of funds kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So what would be your next steps? Would you take any further action with that FSBO, or?
I might not, because if they're unwilling to let you come through when you have demonstrated that you have a real live offer, there may be no opportunity with that. Okay. So it's always very difficult for me to answer these direct questions unless I have all of the context. But I would have no problem being direct with them. Look, I get it that you don't like this offer. I can virtually guarantee the offer would be better if you had let me in to get photos. I will literally take 10 to 15 minutes of your time, and you're telling the world you want to sell the property. So I'm confused why I can't come walk the property. Now, I wouldn't say it with that tone and with those exact words, but I would say something to that fact. And I would also see the fact that we do have other options as well. But in order for me to get those finalized offers for you, I need interior photos, and I got to take them because that's their rules and requirements, not mine. They require that we do that. And there might just not be an opportunity with them because there is a certain percentage of that audience, the for sale by owner audience, that is just unreasonable and unwilling to cooperate. So here's given what you said, and now that I took the time to answer that, which gives me more time to process, what I would likely do is, and it sounds like you already pulled the instant offers. I would say, hey, I know you said no to this one. If there is one that is higher, I have a preliminary offer that is higher than the one that I had submitted in writing to you. That's the good news. The bad news is, if you want me to get this finalized for you, I have to come take photos. There's no getting around this.
Okay.
If you want someone to buy it without seeing the interior, you're going to have to accept a discount. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you want someone to buy it sight unseen, we can make that happen. Just know that you won't get the highest price. If you want the highest price, I gotta come get photos. The good news is it's just me. It'll be 10 to 15 minutes, and I won't bother you again until we have an agreement that is acceptable for all parties. Stephanie, others, that was one of your 6. And
Yes.
I have 8 minutes before I have to hop on a Zoom with Café.
Okay. One guy called me back. He was kind of funny. No, he didn't call me back. I got him on the phone, and he tried to get rid of me by just giving me some stupid answer. Several times.
I love that. Honestly. It is an opportunity to practice. So continue.
Okay.
And you're laughing, so that's good. You're good natured about it, so that's good.
I called him up. He answered the phone. He goes, "I'm not interested in Medicare." I was like,
Wait a minute. So that's perfect. I mean, that is a wonderful opening. Me neither.
Yeah.
Good news. That's not what I'm calling about.
Right. And then, we get into the conversation, and I asked him what he wanted for the property, and he just threw out a number, and I was like, "Really? Is that your bottom dollar?" And he goes, "Well, I was just trying to get rid of you." And I said, "You can't do that. That's
I'm not that easy to shake. I'm not that easy to shake. Okay. Did you get to a number that was like a more reasonable number?
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be his real number. He said he has a friend who's a realtor who would give him, the real valuation. So we'll see.
Some of the, I've had, some of the best clients that I have gotten cold using LeadDeck and prior to LeadDeck, my Frankenstein, were conversations that started like that. And if you're the one that can overcome that resistance, and usually you just have to give back what they're giving you, and their state will change, and then you get to a real conversation. Those have been not just some of my easiest transactions, but like clients that I have great relationship now. That Steve White, the guy that I've shared the story, like I sold 2 of his properties. He bought another one. He referred me somebody. And now one of the guys that bought the one is, we're doing more deals with. Like that started with not exactly that, but that was kind of like the initial conversation. And that's just his personality. He's just he's a gruff guy. But if you're the one that can get through that tough outer shell, then he's a teddy bear. He's been wonderful to work with. He left me a glowing review, all very good stuff. All right, so that was 2. Do you have a plan forward with that one?
No.
Okay, so he gave you a number.
No.
It's kind of wonky. What are you thinking?
Other than just getting the cash offers, that's why I want to talk to you about these.
Well, okay, so I would recommend spending some time going through in Launchpad, Listing Sprint, right here, this second tab. There are, which of these resource has it? If you click this one. Okay, the third resource. So module 3, day 3, whatever, 7-day stress-free program. The bottom one has a bunch of different Loom examples of how I present these institutional offers and seed other option for them. Not all of these include the institutional offers because some of these are on building lots or vacant land, and there's no institutional offers available for them. But I think they're useful and helpful in general. I think I have more somewhere too. Actually, there might be 1 or 2 at the top of this one. Well, there's 2. There's 2 on page 1 of this one. That's how I would handle that one. You have a ballpark idea. Even if it was low, he threw out some number. You had some sort of rapport there. He's got a realtor. Everybody's got a realtor. I mean, who cares? I would present him with institutional offer options to demonstrate I'm different. And also, by the way, I did take a look at the property. I think if we went on the open market, this is likely what we would get. And I would give a range, not a specific number, a range. And all of that is contingent upon me verifying the condition and more information, et cetera. But just based upon the conversation that we've had, this is kind of ballpark. Would you be totally opposed to having, a follow-up conversation? I don't like follow-up. Would you be open to exploring these offers or options in more detail later this afternoon or tomorrow? And if it's vacant, could we meet at the property 10, 15 minutes? I'll just pop by for a quick tour. It's never, I would like to schedule a time to have an appointment with you to go through a listing presentation. No, pop by for a quick tour. Low commitment, low resistance, whatever. Would you be available for a quick chat later this afternoon? That's what I said to Isaac. Hey, Isaac, just curious, you available today for a quick chat? So you could get back to him and say, hey, I was able to pull some preliminary offers for you. And I have potentially a better solution depending on, this, that, and the other thing. Could we chat again? Would you be available again this afternoon for a quick chat?
Okay, well, they're out of state again, so I'm not going to be able to see them in person.
That's a good point. Okay, so we keep that in context. Absolutely. So then I would use Loom and a follow-up conversation.
Okay.
Yep.
Show me again where did you get those?
Okay. Launchpad.
Okay.
Launchpad.
Yep.
Listing Sprint.
Okay.
Which is just under Quick Start. So it's Launchpad,
Got it.
Quick Start, Listing Sprint, day 3, module 3, day 3.
Okay.
And then it's 7-day stress-free program.
Okay.
There are 2 examples in this first document, and then there are a bunch more examples in the third document. This one is good as well. This is David Gustafson, he was here earlier, he may still be here. He and I had a Zoom, like a strategy session for him to better understand how I pitch that, the words I use, what I say. There are some phrases that I use that lower resistance. That's in this second one. Where are they? No cost or obligation. You reserve the right to accept, reject, or negotiate any and all offers. Like that's something I put in our listing agreement. It's something I put in public remarks, private remarks, etc. Like I make it as low resistance as possible. You can cancel anytime, 24-hour written notice. And honestly, you don't have to write me. You can text me or email me. That counts as written notice, and we'll cancel this thing. All good. Just remove every potential barrier and resistance. They're out of state. They've indicated they would consider it. Let's make it as easy as possible to proceed, to get to the yes, to the next step. Kathy.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have to wrap because I have to hop on a strategy call. Here's what I'm going to do. Tomorrow, it's going to be a bonus session. I'm going to add a bonus session in, and I will share. If you want this between now and then, you can text me or you can DM me. You can text me or you DM me. I'm going to share this variation or this different email script I'm going to be sending. I'm going to be using with my database of homeowners to get some more listings in the pipeline for the spring market. And I'm sure there's a couple of other things that we'll dig into as well, because I had a number of things on my list today, and we only get through so much. But Stephanie, thanks for being a good sport and for sharing, and kudos on taking action. I mean, six possible out of 44. Just keep in mind, let's get to the yes or no with those 6. Let's do everything. Like, it doesn't matter yes or no, but we want to close the loop. Is this going to be a listing opportunity? Is this something where we might have an off market? Is this the 3 to 5 out of 100 that an institutional offer will make the most sense? Absolutely. And Richard, your question about, what information institutional offers, when you go out to these properties, you should take pictures, enough pictures that anyone could make a confident decision, yes or no, sight unseen. So everything. I usually have 60 to 75 photos. 60 to 75. 40 to 50, some cases, if it's like a real small property, but like everything. You want someone to be able to look at that and say yes or no. Yes or no. Thanks, everybody.
What time tomorrow? 9:30?
9:30, I think. Let me check my calendar. Hold on. Oh, I got it 10:30. Dang it. It might be 9. Not dang it. I have a listing appointment. A listing appointment. A property preview, I'll call it, at 10:30. So I might bump it up to 9. And I need to share it anyway, because I need to close the loop for people. If you can make it, great. If not, it'll be at LeadDeck.ai/closers. LeadDeck.ai/closers is where all that goes. And if anybody saw the Zoom bomber that popped in here, that's the first time that's happened. I deleted him quickly. I don't know what that was about, and I'm sorry if that offended anyone. I got him out as soon as I saw it. I can't believe, I'm actually shocked that hasn't happened sooner, but it is what it is.
Can you let us know as quickly as possible, since I'm on the West Coast, so that half hours is a big deal to me?
Say what's it's going to be at 9. That's the only way I'll be able to do it, because my appointment is 10:30 and it's pretty far.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 6:08 for me. So
Yep.
I just want to get it booked in. Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks.
Thanks all.